Hello, hello, hello. Happy Thursday, guys. It is Thursday again. We here again, y'all. I hope that you all are having a wonderful week. And I'm going to get right into it. I am Tiana Michelle, serial entrepreneur, empowerment coach. Um, I do a multitude of things. I have a mobile app, Empower Society. Download it. It is a directory of resources and services for individuals with Down syndrome and other abilities in their families. I give inspirational messages within that app every day at 6 a.m. So you wake up feeling inspired, empowered. It, might be some affirmations, whatever the case may be. But we're going to get right into this conversation. You were called to share your story slash testimony. And I talked about this. I don't know if you all saw my post in previous live where I talked about telling your story and the importance of telling your story. The reason why I have these conversations, like before, I started off talking about like the things that our parents didn't teach us, but then I got into my own story because of different things that I had experienced because I realized that there were people who needed to um, hear those stories, but they were also going through. And I've been doing these lives actually for the last 2 years, and people have told me how much it has helped them, impacted them, and so that's why I keep doing them because it has been very helpful to a lot of people. I've gotten people in my inboxes and DMs and people that have called through those apps because I'm on Facebook and Instagram, and these lives will be uploaded to YouTube. Um, Tiana the Visionary on YouTube, so you can see the previous conversations. But you are called to share your story slash testimony. And when I say that, it is because there are so many people who are not necessarily being reached by church. They are not, they're sitting in the church pews but don't have faith. And they're looking at everybody else as if they're perfect and all of these different things. And they're looking at themselves like, what is wrong with me that I'm going through these different situations. And so this is why your story is important because you never know who is going through what and who needs to hear what you have been through. And so I'm going to start here. Um, there are a lot of churches, and if y'all have paid attention in our community, because we black, the people, I'm black. A lot of y'all that's on here with me, y'all black, and we see the churches. It's 3, 4 churches on the corner, um, in the neighborhood, on the same block, across the street. It's a lot of churches within the same area. But then you look at, there are a lot of people that hang out on the corners that are going to the liquor stores and doing everything around the church, but they not necessarily in the church. And then you see the people that are in the church and they're not all the way together. And so sometimes people experience people in their healing seasons or hurt seasons, right? And so what I would say, because I've come across a lot of posts and talked to quite a few people, even people who are PKs who do not they do not go to church, and it's because they have seen and experienced some stuff, and it is like, because they have encountered things with their own families and they have this high level of expectation from pastors and people that are in the church, they tend to say, you know what, this is too much, and all of these different things, not realizing that the church is a hospital, not realizing that the people in the church are patients, not realizing that people in themselves are not perfect. And what you are seeking is not from actual people, because they are the vehicle that can send you to God, right? But they are also imperfect. And so That's why it's important to have your own relationship with God. But it's not something that happens overnight. And I really believe that people who are preachers, who are apostles, who are just people who really are followers of Christ, because I'm going to say that and I'm going to tell you why I'm saying this. Um, those people really have to be careful in how they're moving and how they're talking and how they're connecting with people who are on the mustard seed side of faith. That's what I'm going to call it. Who are on the spectrum of, well, they don't even know how they fit in and all of these different things. Like, that's why people have to, in those positions, have to handle them with care. And I think that is one of the things that is missing, because there are more people who are in the church that are sick because they're patients, right? That's how I'm looking at it. They're patients who need to get well. They don't have all the answers. And here's the analogy that I'm going to make. Would you go to a hospital and talk to the patients about your diagnosis in order to get healing? I don't think so. I think you would go to find a doctor because the doctor has more experience in that area. And so the people who actually sit in church pews are literally patients themselves. They're literally going there to get well, to seek answers, to get themselves together. And so a lot of people from the outside encounter these people, and sometimes it's not a good experience. But I think that even when we talk about the preachers are not perfect. Pastors are not perfect. And I think we need to really look at the human side of things. You're experiencing people who are imperfect and make mistakes. Even doctors make misdiagnoses. And people will have grace for doctors but not give the same grace to pastors. I really think there's something to be said with that, because it's like you're putting them on a pedestal or a level that they can't even achieve, because they're human beings just like us. Like eat, breathe, sleep, do the same things we do, and they have the same temptations we have. They have the same issues we have, and a lot of people look at them as if they are perfect, and they're not. And so it's important. That's why I say hello. That's why I say it's important for people to develop their own relationship with God, because you have to have that relationship in order to understand who your source is, because you're going to experience imperfect people in church and outside of church. But here's the other part. There are a lot of people who are in church who are just churchgoers. They are just people that go just to mark off that they went to church on Sunday off their to-do list, and they don't necessarily have the relationship. So when you encounter those people as somebody who is seeking to find answers or seeking to thank you, hello, seeking to be well, you encounter those people who are just there to just mark off on a to-do list that they went to church, and not really necessarily that they're trying to have a relationship. So those people are usually cold, or they're just like, okay, whatever, I'm just here just for this and I'm out. And so a lot of people are like having these bad experiences, and this is one of the reasons why people are not necessarily in the church. Like, the church is not reaching people the way that it should be, because of the fact that a lot of people are, one, seeking perfection where there is none, and two, because they are looking at the pastors and people in positions who are human just like them, thinking that they're supposed to be perfect, and then they're encountering people who are just as imperfect as them. And then having these unrealistic expectations and putting people on these pedestals as if they're not going to fail. Like, I don't understand that, but I do. And I'm going to tell you why. Because when I was younger, I didn't have this same view. I didn't feel the same way. After my father died, because my father died when I was 15, I had literally just turned 15, and then 6 days later, he died. And so when he died, my relationship with God was based on my parents. And that's most people. Like, most of us, our parents took us to church, or grandparents took us to church. So we developed the quote-unquote relationship that we know of, but it's really based on our parents. So once he died, I was just like, God don't exist, because he would have never took my dad. Like, this was all I had, and you took him. And so from there, and then not only that, I had experienced a lot of things that a lot of other people had not experienced at my age. You know, I had already been, taken advantage of in different ways. I'm going to just say that. If you don't know, go watch previous live, because I talk about it. I share my whole story. But, yes, so I had experienced a lot of different things that nobody could relate. And I had a lot of anger and rage inside of me. And this is actually what other people are experiencing. They are experiencing the same type of difficulties, challenges, where you have people who are orphans who are trying to figure out why their parents gave them up. You have people who are looking for their mothers, trying to figure out, okay, why doesn't my mother love me? Why did she do this? Or even the father is not showing up, not being active, and the kids are like, what's wrong with me? A lot of the times we internalize things, especially when you're kids, because you don't have the language to say, this is what's wrong, this is what's going on, this is how I feel. You don't have that language. You don't necessarily develop that language until you're an adult. And even adults, a lot of adults don't even have a language. I'm gonna be honest. It's really a healed thing. Once you go and get yourself healed from a lot of things, then you really will have the language in order to communicate what you're really feeling. But like, there are a lot of people who have gone through different experiences, and I know that a lot of you all can relate, where you've gone through different things and you're like, why is this happening to me? This is not happening to the next person. Why did this situation, or why am I dealing with things back to back? And let me tell you, one, it is a part of life to go through things. It don't matter if you go to church, if you don't go to church, you're going to experience life. Life is going to life, no matter what. But it's all in how you handle it. It's all in how you push through it. And once you have pushed through it, and once you have gotten over that hump or gotten through that situation, then it is now your duty to actually help somebody else. And that is what this conversation is about. You are called to tell your story or your testimony, however you want to word it, because it is essentially to help someone else. A lot of the things that we experience are to help other people. So here's the other part. When we go through stuff, and we go to the church, and we, seeing these people, talking to these people, and these people, there are, and I will say this from my own experiences of being in the Black church. I have gone to a Baptist church, being a part of different Black churches, I'm just going to say that, and then being in multicultural churches. There is a difference in the two. I'm just going to say that part. And what I have experienced is that there is a lot of judgment that happens because there are people who think that by being this perfect image of, or thinking that they're the perfect image of God or whatever the case may be, that they have the right to say certain things, and they use that as a tool of manipulation. And this is the part that people have experienced, where you have people who use God as a weapon to manipulate, to tell you what to do and how to do it. Meanwhile, their life is raggedy while they're trying to correct you, or they're judging your situation, and not saying, you know what, I know that you're going through this. I know that this is a tough time for you. How can I be of help? I really want you to, heal, or whatever the case may be. Or this is how God wants, you to go to him about this issue, or however. But the language needs to be different, rather than pointing out, you a sinner, you going to hell. A lot of people have experienced that. You're not doing things right. People that's pointing the fingers, it's fingers that's pointing right back at you. As you can see, these fingers point back, okay? So, while you sitting there pointing the finger, talking about what other people are doing, baby, what are you doing? That's all I'm going to say. But if you have experienced this, which a lot of us have, then that leads to church hurt, because now you're like, I went to church, I tried to get my life together. I was trying to do this, and these people, they ratchet, they look like everybody else. They doing what everybody else do. They sleeping with different people's husbands. I heard that. I was actually watching, what's that girl name? Amber Rose, talk about how she's an atheist, and I was just looking like, girl. But in order to be against something, you got to actually believe in it. So that's that. But the crazy part is, she actually believes that God exists. So technically, if you believe that something exists, then it's confusing to be an atheist when you believe that God exists. So that, I feel like she's a little confused on that part. But then when she started talking about her experiences and all of those things, hello, I realized that she had dealt with church hurt, or the unrealistic expectations that she had of people who were in the church, sitting in the pews just like her, and not perfect, going there to get themselves together. And here's the other part. There are so many people that's hiding things. They are in the church pews, and they are hiding who they are. They are hiding the things that they're doing in fear of being judged, instead of actually getting well. And this is the crazy thing, because so many people are used to the judgment. The world judges us. Like, it's judgment everywhere. But they are looking for people not to. And here's the thing. For a lot of people who have read the Bible, Jesus was judged, child. He was judged, and he was out here healing folks and performing miracles, and he was judged. So if Jesus was judged, you're going to be judged. That's just period, point blank. And even the people that were in the Bible were not perfect. So I don't even know why we have this thought process of perfection. Maybe because some of these preachers are preaching this, but then their lives behind closed doors, a lot of them be raggedy while they're preaching perfection. There is no perfection, guys. It is just developing the relationship. You cannot look to people to heal you, but people can help you through telling their stories, just like you can help somebody by telling your story. You did not go through all that hell you went through not to talk about your story, not to share your story. It's very important, because churches are not reaching people the way that they should be reaching people, because of all of the different hang-ups, all of the different imperfections, the judgments, the scandals, all of these different things. And here's the other part. A lot of people in church think that they're going to reach people, and they be whole preaching to the people inside the church walls instead of going outside the church. Like, if you are following, if you are a Christ follower, because I'm going to say that, because if you really look in the Bible, Christians was the term Christian was only used a couple times, but followers of Christ was used often. And I believe that, my belief is that society has wanted to lump some people, because they were trying to figure out back then even what to call them, like people who believed in Christ, like what do we call these people? And so that's really how that whole Christian thing derived. But the term, if you go to your Bible app, the actual terminology of Christian only appears a couple times, but followers of Christ appears very often. And so here's the thing. When people are in the church, and a lot of people, they stay to themselves because they're like, oh, well, we're not supposed to commune with other people who are not like us. Well, here's the deal. If you are a follower of Christ and you look at how Christ actually lived his life, he didn't go to the temples to go healing folks. He was among the people healing people. Even Paul believed that he had to live like the people in order to reach them. And I actually have a scripture, like a verse here. 1 Corinthians 9:22. When I am with those who are weak, I share my weakness, for I want to bring the weak to Christ. Yes, I try to find common ground with everyone, doing everything I can to save some. So even Paul decided that in order to reach people, he had to find common ground. And that is actually where the church is losing, is because they're not finding common ground as a body in order to reach people outside the church by actually demonstrating the love of Christ. And a lot of times we experience people who are so busy with status, who are so busy saying that they're preachers and this and apostles and all of these different titles, and they're so like trying to be up here. That ain't what Jesus was saying to do, though. Those titles mean absolutely nothing. I want to say it was Paul that talked about the titles not even meaning anything. But at the end of the day, it is about what you're demonstrating. It is about what you're showing. It is about, how you conduct your life. And even those ones who were put in the position of priests and deacons and elders, they actually had to have a clean life. And that is very hard to do. So for all of these deacons and priests and all of these different people, everybody was not called to do this. There are people who called themselves to do it. Let's just be honest. And people are getting hurt in the process because these people were not called to actually minister to those souls. So I just want to say to you that your story is needed so that other people can be saved by your story, so that other people can be reached by your story, so that other people can feel loved by your story, so that other people can feel that they're not alone. You have a lot of people that are addicted to different things, that are on different medications and drugs and drinking and all of these different things to self-medicate because they feel alone, they feel unheard, unseen, they feel like they're going through this process of life by themselves, they're dealing with hurt after hurt. That is why your story is necessary, and that is why I tell my story, because I found that there were so many people that have experienced things, and the me telling my story, and I got so many stories, child, because I've gone through a lot of different things, but by God's grace, I really people be like, you really don't look like what you've been through. I don't. I should be looking toe up from the flow up, child. But God, that's all I'm gonna say. But God. And so I have an obligation, because he brought me through all of these different things. I am obligated to tell my story to help other people. You said I'm ready to finally share. You should. You should. You should share, because you do not know how you can really help a lot of people. And it's really, really important that you don't feel like that your story is not important. A lot of people be like, I don't have nothing to talk about. Yes, you do. If you dealt with not having your father there, and you had to navigate your feelings, your emotions, and all of these different things, and you turned out to be an awesome father for your kids, you showed up for them, you did that, you have a story to tell, because there was something inside of you that said, I'm not going to send my child or my children through these things. I'm going to be a better parent than my own. I'm going to show them love and be there for them and do all of these different things. There was something inside of you. People need to hear that. How did it make you feel when you went through this disappointment? How did you navigate getting through this? Are you going to a therapist, or, what is your process? If it was that you went through a bout with cancer, because that's something that is very common right now. I actually have a friend, a couple people that I know, I'm just going to say that a friend and a few more people that have gone through that. And, some of them are in remission and have been in remission for years. And there are other people who are just getting that diagnosis. Well, people need to hear, what did you do? How did your story go? They need to hear that there's hope, that this is not a death sentence. They need to hear that. Maybe you went through where you were sexually abused. I went through that as a kid. I was a teenager. It happened for some years, child. A lot of different, I talk about it. But maybe it was that you went through. And now, you have helped other people through their process, or you've gotten through that. You have gone to therapy and all of these different things. Like, I do coaching, and I talk to people that have gone through that, teenagers that have gone through that, adults that have gone through that. And I've coached them through those situations because of my own experience. I feel like when it comes to coaching, it is something to be said when a coach has actually experienced it. Like, because that type of violation, even physical abuse, which I went through in my early 20s, and I'm 38, so that was a while ago, but that stuff is it's a totally different type of violation. So I feel like when a coach has actually gone through that, or experienced grief, or just different life changes, that it is more effective when that coach has navigated through those things. It's more effective in their coaching on how they deal with their client. So I really believe that if you have been through something, and we all have, child, tell your story, write that book, do that blog, get on YouTube, talk about it, share your journey. You have something to tell. um, you have something to tell. You have work to do. You have to get out there and share your story because people really, really need you. They really need you to be a voice because they may not even have the courage to come forward and share things. They may not even have the know-how. And so by you sharing your story, you will definitely help other people. And by you sharing that, and if you are a person that has a relationship with God and God has guided you through that journey, that's a plus because then you will be able to reach them. And if more people did that, showed the real, talked about the real, and reached people and showed God's love, I think that more people will believe in God and their journeys will be a little bit more lighter. Their loads will be a little bit more lighter. They will see that there's a little bit more hope. People will have a little bit more faith. And I really think that that's really key. Because there are so many of you all who have the stories, who have the voice, who are very well versed people, but you're just like, no, it's not important. It is important. It is important because you did not go through that just for yourself, honey. You went through that to help somebody to get on the other side so that they don't fall into depression, so that they don't become suicidal, so that they don't, go into a dark hole. You have to tell it. So that is what I came on here to tell you. Tell your story. Do not be scared. If I could do it, you talking about somebody that's been shy their whole life, that, was never a people person, and child, I'm out here talking to people, coaching people, telling my story, being transparent. Child, you could do it. You said I've always been so shy, but now that I know Christ, I'm ready to be bold, girl. Be bold. Do it. Do it, do it, do it. Write that book. It's not hard. If you need to know how to write a book, I'll show you how to do it. Even the template, you can do it in Canva. It's not hard at all. If you want to know how to print it, it's not hard at all. I actually did mine in ebook form. I actually got my, I have affirmation journals that I had printed. But my actual mindset book, it is an ebook form. But that journal is in print form. So I can tell you how to do it. So you can reach out to me, inbox me. I'm the person that's going to share the information, child. So you ask and you shall receive, okay? But yes. So with that, I want you all to have a wonderful night. Share your story. Do not be scared. Be fearless in your pursuit. God is with you. You are a warrior. And it is time. Stop sitting on them stories. It is time because the church is not reaching the people that it needs to be reaching the way that it needs to be reaching it. So if we, the people who believe in God and have been through hell and back, have gotten through our situations, we can save a multitude of people just by telling our story and demonstrating the love of God. That's it. So yes, you all have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. And again, if you have any questions about publishing your book or writing it or whatever the case may be, you can inbox me. We can communicate that way. DM me for those of you who are on Instagram land. For those of you who don't know, I actually have a nonprofit organization and a mobile app. So download the app. It's on Google Play and Apple App Store. You will get daily inspirational messages. If you have a child with a disability and you are looking for services and resources, download the app. There are different businesses and services that are listed within the app. What else? I actually have events coming up that I'm going to be posting. I have networking events, one in July, July 16th, for those of you who are business owners. What else? I have the supply drive from July to August for families who are in need that have children with disabilities. So if you would like to donate to the supply drive, please reach out to me. Yes, what else? Let me see. We also have a sneaker ball coming up in October. For you that want to be a part of it, I will be giving out the information pretty soon. Yeah, so stay tuned for more things that are going to be happening, child. And whatever questions you have, feel free to reach out to me. Do not be scared. I will answer your questions. If you would like to go live with me on either platform, Facebook or Instagram, you can do so. The replay of this will be on YouTube, Tiana Nichelle the Visionary. What else? And you can go there and view previous conversations. I thank you all for joining, for being a part of this conversation. Tell your story, okay? That's it. Tell it, okay? People need it. The world is waiting. I'm waiting. I want to hear you. I want to hear these stories because it's necessary. And I was actually thinking, here's the other part. I was actually thinking about doing a book with different chapters where you can do like a co-author type of situation where you all will have your own chapter and you can tell your story that way. So, y'all, if you would like to be a part of that, let your girl know. Because I actually was thinking about doing that, like a compilation of different stories for those who may not have the courage to do it all themselves. But it is, I feel like it's all necessary. So if you all want to do that, let me know. Let me know in the comments when you see this. Let me know. All right, well, you all have a wonderful, wonderful night. And I will see you on here next Thursday. You might see me sooner, but I will see you next week. All right, bye.